friends. Have you been inundated with sales over the last week? Like, have you had enough of all of the sale talk? I'm not really sure that I have, to be honest with you. I always like to look at new things, but I was inspired to take a look at the products that at one point or another, I was eyeballing, just like I'm looking at a lot of these new products. I hope that makes sense. Before we dive into the tutorial, I just want to give a very warm welcome to any new viewers. My name is Katie. I am a 37-year-old wife and mom. I love beauty and home fragrance, and so if that type of content interests you, I would love for you to stick around and hit that subscribe button to my channel. And if you are a returning viewer or subscriber, welcome back. I'm glad to have you here. All right, so I can't stand to have my hair in my face, so I am going to go ahead and put these lovely turquoise clips into my hair. All right, so today the palette that I am going to be using is the Lorac Pro 4. This is a good one, you guys, and it's funny because this is a brand that I feel like nobody ever talks about, and it's actually one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I wanted to let you know that in the interest of time, I have already done my foundation and my eyebrows. I am the type of person that prefers to do my foundation before my eyeshadow or like my eye look. That's just my preference, but I know that there are people who like to do it afterwards. Look at this, you guys. I'm trying not to blind you here with the mirror. Look at how much pan I've hit in this palette. I've had it for, I want to say, 2.5 years maybe. I know that I used this palette on my niece for her baby shower, and her daughter is 2.5. So yeah. Okay, I've had this palette for almost 3 years, but you know what? I love it. I love it, and we're just gonna keep using it. I'm going to go ahead and go into the shade Pecan. It's kind of a neutral, slightly rosy, and I'm gonna tap off my brush. I'm using a BK Beauty 201, and I'm going to go in to my transition shade right here. I have already I have already put on my eyeshadow primer. I use the MAC Paint Pot in the shade Soft Ochre, and that is because my undertones are neutral to warm. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of that in my transition. Notice I'm going a little bit above my crease. I have very deep set eyes, and I'm also trying not to hold the ferrule too close. All right, the next shade that I'm going to go into is one that I have really hit pan on, and this is the shade Iced Rose. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and swatch it for you because it is just, can we just talk about how pretty that is? Look at that, it's so beautiful. Okay, so I'm going in with a Sigma E25, and I'm going to go ahead and just put that all over the lid. Again, using gentle patting motions. I'm not, you know, swiping it on. Now I'm going to go back in with that BK 201 brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Rosebud. It's a little bit more pink in it, and I'm again going to go into that transition. See how much darker that is now? Okay, I feel like that shade was a little bit too dark, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and try to correct that a little bit. I'm going to go in with the shade Brulee, which is kind of like a nudie one, if I don't drop my brush first. And I'm just gonna kind of go on top with that to just slightly blend it a little bit more. I have a lot of real estate, supposedly, to be working with on my brow bone here. And I'm going to show you a way that you can correct this if you feel like you take your transition up a little bit too high. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tap into the shade Black Currant, which sounds scary, but trust me, it's a beautiful, like plummy color. And I'm going to go back in, and remember, I'm going to start at the outer corner of my crease here. Now notice I don't actually go directly into my crease because my eyes do slightly downturn at the edge. I am going to connect that outer V again, taking my BK, what is this, the 207. This is like one of those little pencil tip brushes. And I'm going to connect my outer V. If I didn't mention, I did dip it into the shade Black Currant, which is the same shade that I went into earlier. I'm going to go back in with that Sigma E25. I think that's what this is. Yes, E25 Blending Brush. And I mean, do you guys remember when Sigma brushes were like all the rage? Everybody talked about Sigma brushes, and I don't feel like I hear them talked about as much. They're good stuff, you know. I own quite a few Sigma brushes. I would say my top brushes are Sigma, BK Beauty, It Cosmetics, and on the drugstore end, Real Techniques. Those tend to be the ones that I gravitate towards. Okay, we are gonna go back in. I'm not gonna get anything more on this transition brush, and I just want to go in and give another blending. Now, if you feel like you brought your transition shade a little bit too high, like I do right now, I can go in with a very small brush here. Let me see. This is a, what is this? A Morphe M421. It's very tiny, you'll see. And I'm going to go into like a nudie color shade. This is the shade Chantilly in this palette. And I'm going to go ahead and just take this underneath. Boy, you're really seeing that fall out. I really like Lorac shadows, although I would say that if you are a beginner to makeup, this is a very soft formula, very similar to ABH. And so you oftentimes will get a little bit of fallout with this. You really need to make sure that you tap off the brushes before you use it, so that way you don't get a ton of fallout all over your face. Fallout, if you are new to makeup, is when the eyeshadow, you have so much of it on your brush that it then falls out onto your cheekbones, and you just don't want to be having a bunch of pigment all over your face. We just want it on our eyes. I'm going back into that shade Iced Rose to just top off. Now, this is something that I frequently do. I usually will go back in with my, what would this be? My shimmery shade, my lid shade. I usually go back in after I have done my crease work, just to make sure that I want my lid to pop. The next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go in with an eyeliner underneath, and I don't actually go in with, well, I don't draw it in. I take a smaller angled brush. This is the Morphe M165. And I'm going to pick up a little bit off of, this is the Persona waterproof eyeliner in the shade Plum. And I'm going to go ahead and place that a little bit. I'm trying to get the right angle here for you all to see. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm trying to. I'm trying, y'all. Okay, I'm trying to go in just a little bit underneath there. I probably need to pick up more. All right, I'm trying to pick up enough to show you how I place this just on this like outer half of my under eye. Let's see. Yeah, you can see a little bit of that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my black liquid liner on the top. Right now I am loving this one from Physicians Formula. It's their 2-in-1 eye boosting pen. And if you've seen any of my other eye tutorials, I talk about that I don't take my eyeliner all the way into the inner corner of my eye because my eyes are deeply set and they are also narrow. And if I bring it all the way in, it actually closes off and brings my eyes closer together on my face. Something I like to do when I am trying to soften a look and I don't want that harsh, like, not that this is really harsh, but that I don't want a very obvious black eyeliner on the top, is that I will go in with that same little Morphe angled brush here, or whatever angled brush you're using, and I will go in and do what is called smoking out that upper lash line. So I will take that powder in the same shade that I used on my crease and my outer V. So in this case, it's the shade Black Currant. And I'm just gently dipping in and I'm going over that here. And yeah, you can see a little bit of fallout on my face from that because I didn't tap it off. I don't know if you can tell really the difference on camera here now between the two. It just kind of softens that harsh line. I always wait to apply my under eye concealer until after I am done doing my eyeshadow, because I'm going to show you, you're going to see the difference here when I go ahead and apply it. My favorite under eye concealer is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. I know that this is a polarizing product because you only need a teeny tiny amount. You see that? I'm going to take it between both fingers here, and I'm going to just gently pat it underneath. But do you notice how that just kind of gives a lightness underneath the eyes without it being like raccoon, you know, like I wore goggles skiing or snowboarding. I've actually never gone skiing. I have gone snowboarding a few times. But it doesn't give you that look like you forgot to put sunscreen on and you've been wearing goggles all day. Always go in with a damp beauty blender after that just to pick up some excess, because that is a very thick and emollient full coverage concealer. I just like to make sure that I have blended it all out. I want to go ahead and apply a little bit of an inner corner highlight. So I'm going to take, again, one of those little tiny brushes like I used earlier on my brow bone, and I'm going to go into this shade Soft Pearl. Ooh, this is pretty. And I'm just going to apply a tiny inner corner highlight. I'm sorry, I should probably move that up for you. Still learning, friends, still learning. Isn't that the theme of life? We're still learning. I know women in their 80s who are like, young woman, I am still learning. I am going to go ahead and put on my mascara off camera because, I mean, I think we all know how to apply mascara, and I'll be right back on. Okay, my mascara is on. Just to let you know that I will have everything on my face linked in the description box down below. So if there is a product that I have not showcased, but it's on my face today, make sure you check down there to check to see what I have applied already. Another product that has been in my collection for a long time, and I actually have a full size in this, I bought one before they went out of business, is the Becca highlight. What is this? The Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Opal. I just think that this is so beautiful. And highlight, I always apply at the very top of my cheekbones. Now you're gonna notice, you're like, Katie, where's your bronzer? I actually prefer to put my highlight on before I put on my bronzer. I feel like it just ties the look all together. The next product that I'm going to go in with is the Buxom. This is the Staycation Vibes Primer Infused Bronzer in the shade Backyard Bronze. Look at how much love I've given this one, you guys. Yeah, I've hit major pan on this one. We're moving on to blush, and one of my favorite blushes in my collection is the Persona Super Blush in the shade Carmel. Oh, this is beautiful. It's like almost a cooler toned mauve-y pink. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I'm going to tell you, when I apply blush, I do it kind of like they did in like the late 80s and 90s, where I go more up on the upper portions of my cheekbones. And this is important, especially if you are an aging woman, which, to be honest, if we're living, we're aging. That's just the fact of the matter, right? But I don't want anything to droop my face downward, so I start up here, kind of like on my cheekbones. This is a very pigmented blush, okay? And so I'm trying to go in very light-handed. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do my lips now, and I'm going to start out by lining my lips with the shade Whirl from MAC. Let's turn the pencil around the right way, Katie. Okay, the MAC Whirl Lip Liner. For my lip color, I am going to use the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip. Now, I know that people still rave about these, and for good reason. They are so, so good. This particular one is in the shade Rose. Okay, so this is the completed look. I'm going to be honest with you, it went a little bit more like a 90s supermodel with that blown out transition shade. It went a little bit higher than I preferred, but I'm gonna roll with it today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps me out. I hope this video inspired you to take a look at your collection and give some love to some products that you know that you've had some pretty strong feelings for in the past. Thank you again for spending your time with me here today, and until my next video, I hope you go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.